seizures in these individuals. Now, I don't know. Yeah, so basically you can get a seizure playing this game. Great. Multicultural people made this, of lots of genders and religions, and basically everybody under the sun made this game. They're all like fucking. Can I say that? Assassin's Creed, Syndicate. Syndicate Assassin's Creed, everyone. Syndicate the shit out of it. Is that funny? Probably not. Damn it. Fetching latest news. Fetching! Isn't the latest news fetching? I don't know. Yeah, here we are with Eevee. Eevee Fried. Woo! 2014, Abstergo Historical Research provides Abstergo Entertainment with genetic memories for their virtual features. Nice. Some believe that Excalibur, King Arthur's legendary blade, was fictional. A lot of people believe that. Because it was fictional. Alright, well here we are. We're at the elevator. We've found the secret room. We used the key to get in, and now we're in an elevator. Danger. Men working overhead. Yep. I think. Up on those little things up there, right? You'd think I could climb up here, but it won't let me. Because this is just an area where you're just supposed to go down the thing. Not supposed to climb. Not a lot going on. But let's do some reading. As usual. Okay, well, the encyclopedia, we're almost done with the encyclopedia. Let's look at these last groups of people. Groups. The Assassin Brotherhood. The Assassin Brotherhood is an organization whose ideology is centered on the belief that only free will can ensure the betterment of humanity. We have existed throughout the recorded human history, locked in a battle with the Templar Order, who believe, well, pretty much the opposite of what we do. It's why we fight. Here's a question for you. If both sides existed before the historical Hashashin and Order of the Knights Templar, what were they called? RC. Oh, I misread that. That was Rebecca Crane question. So I was supposed to be in an American accent. Excellent question. Shush your lips, subs. There have been brotherhoods recorded throughout the time. The Roman Empire, the Middle Ages, the Italian War, the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution. We're big on revolutions. But the only one we're focused on today is the Industrial Revolution in London, where it looks like the Templars have a pretty firm grip on the city, the country, and the British Empire. It wasn't always that way. There used to be assassins in London. In the 18th century, the London Brotherhood was basically led by two people, a man known as Miko and Edward Kenway. Right. Edward Kenway, that's one of our guys from the previous games, I think. They met shortly after the latter returned to London from the West Indies, and for a time it seemed like English assassins would be stronger than ever. Miko was a bit of a free spirit. He roamed all over Europe, searching for pieces of Eden, making connections and lending aid to various regional brotherhoods. I'm not sure if he was ever officially designated as a mentor, and in any case, he and Edward weren't much for that type of ceremony. What Edward brought to the table was stability. He used his charm to make connections in the city, in both high society and the criminal underworld. Sounds familiar, RC? Who does it sound familiar with? I don't know. Edward was murdered in his own home, betrayed by one of his business associates, who was actually a Templar. Miko kept about his business as best he could, but he was also killed by a Templar, Edward's son, Hatham. Oh, I know him. With those two out of the picture, the Templars had a clear path to control London. In the here and now, the Brotherhood's seen better days. The Templars won a major victory in 2000 and nearly wiped all of us out. But we've been rebuilding, slowly but surely. We are establishing new brotherhoods in cities all over the world. We have a network to stay in touch with each other. And we have people like you on our digital data miners. People like me. You might not have knives strapped all over you, but you're making a difference, and I'm grateful. I don't have knives strapped all over me. That's accurate. I'd be grateful if we could come up with a new term for us that isn't the brotherhood. Tens of thousands of years of fighting for progressive and free thought, and we're still stuck with that? RC. Yeah, it should be like the siblinghood, right? So racist. Okay. History tells us that Templars were a medieval military order, first known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. History goes on to say that it existed for roughly 2 centuries in the Middle Ages and were closely tied to the Crusades in the Holy Land before being disbanded after their leaders were burned at the stake in France. It should not be were, it should be is. It is closely tied, not it were closely tied. So that was a mistake. Like the Assassins, the Templars have existed in some form or other since the dawn of recorded history. Their ideology is centered around a perfect world, and their interpretation of that perfection often, if not always, involves absolute control over the freedom of individuals. Assassins respectfully disagree. The Templar Order's control over the city of London, and by extension much of the British Empire, was like a sneak preview of the control they exert over the world today. In the 18th century, a Grand Master named Reginald Birch managed to sneak into the life of one of the most influential assassins of the day, Edward Kenway. Birch was appointed as one of Kenway's property managers, but soon became a friend of the family, even going so far as to court Edward's daughter, Jenny. Court is a polite word that I'm sorry we don't use as much today. In reality, all Birch wanted to acquire was Kenway's research into the first civilization. However, Jennifer discovered the truth and informed her father, which forced Birch to send mercenaries to the Kenway mansion. Edward was killed, and Jennifer was sold to Turkish slavers, obviously. That'll be Edward's, Haytham's sister, right? I think there's a book about this or something. To add insult to injury, Birch became the legal guardian to Edward's son, Haytham Kenway, and raised him as a Templar. With Edward out of the way, London was left without a significant assassin's presence, and Birch wasted no time solidifying his order's grip on the city. But that wasn't enough. He wanted access to precursor sites, and sent Haytham to the colonies in order to try and secure one. Birch's treachery was eventually discovered by Haytham and his sister, who murdered him. But by then, the Templars' control over London was absolute. Industry, politics, they had their claws in every layer of society. The Templars in London went virtually unchallenged for over a century. These days, the Templars are still pulling the strings. In the past, they were popes or royalty or politicians. Today, they operate behind the most insidious force of all, a corporation. The public face of the Templar Order is a multinational conglomerate known as Abstergo. My British accent is terrible, sorry. Unruly and dangerous, street gangs were a very common element of Victorian England's ecosystem. Flourishing in poorer areas, the desire for a unified lower class spread throughout the entire country and resulted in entire criminal communities. Notable gangs such as the Scutlers, the O'Hooligan Boys, and the 40 Elephants became infamous for their skill in theft, as well as their proclivity toward extreme violence. Unfortunately, none of them were in this game. It was logical, then, to take these gangs into consideration when looking to dominate the heart of the Empire. When the Templar Grand Master Crawford Starrick sought to strengthen his hold over the city, controlling the underworld was a foregone conclusion. Using 7 hand-picked, highly skilled Templars and all the influence he could muster in London's underbelly, he spent a decade building London's most fearsome street gang to date, the Blighters. And they're the only ones in this game, the rest of them aren't. Originating in Westminster's worst slum, the Devil's Acre, the Blighters' influence spread across the entire city, and its members became known for their merciless brutality and unruly nature. They didn't even say please or thank you. The blighters, once thought to be a superior answer to the street gang plague, proved instead to be a source of greater fear and loathing for the city's residents. Those who opposed the regime wound up either fatally injured or massively in debt. I did it. I did all the people. We finished the whole entire encyclopedia. Now we just have tutorials to do. Let's just leave it at that for now. Save video clip.